I need you to listen with your entire being, because the information I'm about to give you is a compass that will guide you out of years of emotional fog, wasted hope, and profound exhaustion. I've spent over a decade reverse engineering human connection, decoding ancient wisdom and modern psychology. And I've found 5 simple phrases, 5 verbal tells, that when a man uses them, expose his core intentions with the brutal clarity of an X-ray. These are not mere slip-ups, they are carefully crafted scripts of emotional sabotage wrapped in the packaging of everyday conversation. And once I show you, you can't unsee them. You must stay with me for this entire breakdown, because the 5th phrase is the most camouflaged and the most corrosive. It's missed by almost every woman I've ever met, and learning to spot it will be the single most powerful act of self-preservation you perform this year. Before we get to the phrases, you have to absorb one fundamental truth that will rewire how you approach every male interaction from this day forward. Most women are socially programmed with a default setting of empathy. We are taught to look for the good, to see the man he could be, not the man who is standing right in front of us, to fix what's broken instead of protecting what is sacred. This programming is so deeply embedded that it has deactivated our own internal security system, the one designed to detect and repel what I call energetic thieves. And that's precisely what they are. Thieves who use specific linguistic keys to unlock your boundaries, devalue your worth, and make you doubt the sanity of your own mind. Ancient spiritual traditions teach a core concept, that speech is an act of creation. When someone speaks to you, they are not just transmitting data, they are projecting their inner world, their motives, their level of integrity, their hidden agenda directly into your spirit. This is precisely why a single conversation can leave you feeling empty, confused, or deeply unsettled, even if on the surface, nothing dramatic happened. Your intuition, your soul, was registering the signature of poison, but your conditioned mind was busy trying to find a logical reason to drink it. What I'm giving you today isn't just dating tips. It's an emotional firewall, a tool that will protect not only your heart, but the entire architecture of your life. Because let's be absolutely clear about something people rarely say out loud. The partner you choose is not a siloed decision. He is a virus or a vitamin for your career, your finances, your relationship with your own family, your physical health, and your mental peace. A wrong choice will have you spending the best years of your life not building a future, but recovering from the past. A right choice, or more importantly, the skill to instantly identify and reject the wrong ones, creates a vacuum that will pull something magnificent into your life. The first phrase, the one that should be an immediate deal breaker, is when he says, "You're thinking too much," or "It's cousins," "You're making a big deal out of nothing," or "Just relax." This is a masterclass in psychological warfare because its sole purpose is to make you an enemy to your own intuition. When a man tells you that your valid thoughts or feelings are an overreaction, he is not making a comment on your mental state. He is showing you he is terrified of a woman who is present, aware, and connected to her own truth. Here's the subtext of what he's really saying: "Your clarity is inconvenient for me. Please shut it down." He's testing a critical question. Will you abandon your own inner wisdom to make him comfortable? A man who genuinely respects you doesn't want you to think less. He wants to understand your thoughts. He'll say, "Tell me more," or "Help me see it from your side." He leans in. He doesn't shut you down. When a man tells you that your mental and emotional processes are the problem, he's explicitly stating that his comfort is more important than your reality. The most dangerous part of this phrase is that it's a seed of gaslighting that he plants in your mind. Over time, you begin to censor yourself, you second-guess every instinct, you start to believe that being a cool girl means being a disconnected girl. This is precisely what an emotional thief wants. He needs you unplugged from your own alarm system so he can operate freely. Women who endure this often spend years in therapy trying to reconnect with their own inner voice, learning to trust the wisdom they were trained to see as a flaw. This is a subtle form of soul violence, and we have normalized it for far too long. A conscious, mature man knows that a woman's depth is not a problem to be solved, it is an ocean to be explored. The second phrase that should trigger every internal alarm is, "I'm just being real with you," or "Hey, I'm just telling it like it is," especially after he's said something sharp, demeaning, or utterly unnecessary. This phrase is a get-out-of-jail-free card for cruelty. It's a trick to rebrand aggression as authenticity. When someone uses honesty as a justification for hurting you, they are not being honest. They are being hostile and then trying to guilt you into thanking them for the attack. True, heartfelt honesty is rooted in a desire to help, to connect, to build. It is delivered with care, with an awareness of your spirit. When a man says something deliberately cutting and then wraps it in the banner of just being real, he's showing you one of two things. Either he has a complete empathy deficit, or he actually enjoys the feeling of power that comes from diminishing you. I have seen this exact tactic systematically dismantle a woman's confidence. He'll make honest remarks about her body, her ambitions, her friends, her laugh. And the moment she flinches or expresses pain, he flips the script and frames her as the one who can't handle the truth. This creates a psychological bind where you start to equate love with enduring casual brutality, and that needing kindness is a form of weakness. But the real truth is this: a man who loves you is your biggest cheerleader, not your harshest critic. Yes, relationships require difficult conversations, but those conversations are aimed at strengthening the team, not wounding one of its players. When someone consistently uses honesty as an excuse for verbal punches, they are showing you they are invested in control, not connection. What makes this so effective is that we're taught to prize realness. We want someone who doesn't play games. But let me be clear, you can have both truth and tenderness. In fact, honesty without compassion is not a virtue, it is just malice in a clever disguise. The third phrase that is a 5-alarm fire for your soul is, "You're so demanding," when all you have done is express a clear need, a boundary, or a standard for how you wish to be treated. This is a tactic of boundary shaming, and it is designed to train you into silence, to make you terrified of asking for what you deserve. Let's be perfectly clear on what a boundary is. A boundary is not a demand. It is not a threat. It is not an ultimatum. A boundary is a user's manual for your heart. It is you saying, "This is what I require to feel safe and cherished with you." When you say, "I'd love it if you'd let me know when you're running late," or "It hurts my feelings when you joke about that," or "I need us to have dedicated time together," you are not being demanding, you are being directional. A man who calls your clear, reasonable needs demanding is telling you something fundamental about his character. He sees your needs as an inconvenience. He believes his desire for unchecked freedom is more important than your need for emotional safety. This is not the soil in which a healthy partnership can grow. This is the blueprint for a dynamic where you slowly erase yourself to avoid being labeled difficult. And the outcome for women in these situations is tragic. They learn to require less and less. They start to pride themselves on being low maintenance, not realizing they are simply abandoning their own standards to keep a man who is allergic to respect. You must know this: a man who truly loves you wants your user's manual. He wants to know the blueprint for making you happy. He understands that your boundaries are not walls that keep him out, they are the foundations that allow a skyscraper of trust and love to be built. The men who shame you for having boundaries are the very same men who will exploit you for not having them. They want full access to your life on a clearance discount. They want the perks of a partnership with none of the responsibility. The fourth phrase is one of the most common and emotionally draining: "I'm not looking for anything serious," or "I'm not ready for a commitment." The catch: he says this while doing all the things that create a serious connection. He's in constant contact. He spends his weekends with you. He opens up to you. He might even have you meet his friends. He builds all the emotional architecture of a relationship while holding a sign that says, "This is not a relationship." This phrase is a masterstroke of manipulation because it gives him every single benefit of your presence with zero accountability. He gets to place you on an emotional layaway plan that he never intends to pay off. He gets your support, your body, your time, and your devotion, all while retaining a get-out-of-jail-free card because, after all, was honest with you from the start. This puts you in a psychological torture chamber. If you accept his terms, you are actively co-signing your own undervaluation. If you ask for more, he can weaponize his initial statement and make you seem needy or like you broke the rules. If you leave, you're haunted by the feeling that you might be giving up on something that was just about to turn real. But I need you to burn this into your brain. When a man truly wants to be with you, there is no ambiguity. There is no, "I'm not sure," or "let's just go with the flow." When a man sees your value and is terrified of losing you, he moves with purpose and he moves with clarity. The men who hold you in this situationship limbo are not confused. They know exactly what they want to keep you in their life without having to fully choose you. This dynamic is so damaging because it starves your self-worth over time. You start to internalize the idea that you aren't quite good enough to be chosen, that you have to audition for a commitment that should be freely given. You begin to see love as a prize you have to earn, not a state you deserve to be in. The most insidious part is that these men often do like you. They enjoy your presence. They might even have a form of love for you, but they love their freedom and their options more than they love your heart. They would rather keep you in a state of painful uncertainty than risk losing you by being truly honest about their lack of commitment. And now we arrive at the fifth and most sinister phrase, the one that is so subtle, most women don't realize it's a weapon until years later, when they are trying to piece their identity back together. The phrase is, "You've changed." And he says it not as a celebration, but as an indictment. He says it with a tone of disappointment, implying that the woman you are becoming is a downgrade from the woman you used to be. This phrase is a form of psychic assassination. It is designed to make you halt your own evolution and retreat to an earlier, smaller version of yourself that was more convenient for his ego. When a man criticizes you for changing, he is admitting that he didn't fall in love with you. He fell in love with your potential to serve his world. Here's what is actually happening: you are growing. You are finding your voice, setting stronger boundaries, getting healthier, chasing a dream, or simply becoming more authentically yourself. And instead of cheering you on, he sees your growth as a threat. Why? Because the version of you he signed up for was more compliant, more focused on his needs, and less focused on her own soul's expansion. This phrase is so devastating because it strikes at the core of our desire to be loved for who we are. When your partner suggests your growth is a betrayal, it can trigger a deep internal crisis. You start to think, is becoming more going to cost me this love? You wonder if you should just shrink back down to the size that made him feel secure. I have seen women shelve their ambitions, dim their light, and abandon their personal healing because a man made them feel that their evolution was an act of selfishness. They stop going to that class because he misses the old you. They stop speaking up because he preferred when they were more easygoing. But you must understand this down to your bones. A man who truly loves you does not just tolerate your growth. He is in all of it. He is your biggest fan. He gets excited when you become more powerful, more clear, more you. He knows that your expansion doesn't endanger the relationship, it enriches it, because you are bringing a more whole and vibrant person to the partnership. When a man tells you he liked the old you better, he is telling you he preferred you when you were less. He's admitting his love was conditional on you staying small. This is not love. This is ownership. This is someone who wants a pet, not a partner. The most heartbreaking part is that women often internalize this as their failure. They feel guilty for outgrowing a box that was always too small for them. They apologize for taking up space, for having a voice, for becoming the person they were always meant to be. Now that you have this blueprint, these 5 tells, you might be feeling a whirlwind of things: recognition, anger at your past self, sadness, or maybe just a profound sense of relief that you finally have the words for what you've always felt. All of that is okay, honor it. But I need you to understand the purpose of this knowledge. It's not to make you bitter or to build a fortress around your heart. It's to give you the gift of discernment, the power to instantly tell the difference between a man who is invested in your happiness and a man who is invested in what he can extract from you. It's about learning to honor that quiet no in your gut, even when your mind is trying to negotiate. The truth is, there are incredible men out there who would never dream of saying these things. Men who see your sensitivity as a superpower. Men who deliver hard truths with profound kindness because your heart matters to them. Men who don't just respect your boundaries but thank you for them because it helps them love you better. Men who commit with a clear and resounding yes, because the thought of losing you is unacceptable. Men who look at you as you grow and think, I am the luckiest man in the world to witness this. These men are real, but you will never meet them if your time and energy are occupied trying to decode the mixed signals of men who don't see your worth. You'll never be available for them if you're settling for treatment that feels like a constant compromise. You'll never build with them if you are exhausted from trying to fix someone who has no interest in being whole. Here is your assignment. Start noticing how you feel after you interact with the men in your life. Do you feel more alive or more depleted? Do you feel seen or do you feel managed? Do you feel inspired to be more of yourself, or do you feel a subtle pressure to shrink? Your body is the ultimate truth teller. Your energy does not lie. Start treating your first instincts as gospel, not as rough drafts to be edited away. If a dynamic feels wrong in the first month, it will be a disaster in the first year. If you catch yourself rehearsing conversations in your head to justify his behavior, that is your sign. If you see yourself sanding down the edges of your personality to fit into someone else's narrow definition of love, that is your signal to exit. Most importantly, I want you to absorb this. Walking away from people who diminish you is not an act of rejection. It is the ultimate act of self-acceptance. It is not giving up, it is clearing the space for what is meant for you. Every second you spend trying to teach someone your value is a second you are unavailable to someone who already knows it. The right person for you will not require an audition. They will not need a 5-page essay on why you are worthy of respect. They will see you, and choosing you will be the most obvious, natural decision of their life. I want to leave you with a perspective that revolutionized my own life. Your standards are not a wall to keep people out. They are a filter designed to let the right people in. When you are unapologetically clear about what you need to thrive, you are not being difficult. You are being a good steward of your own heart. The people who are bothered by your standards are, by definition, not your people. The ones who celebrate them, who ask how they can meet them, who adjust because they value your well-being in their presence. These are your tribe. These are the people who understand that love isn't a transaction, it's a co-created sanctuary where two souls can flourish. Every time you enforce a boundary, you are teaching the world your worth. Every time you walk away from disrespect, you are voting for yourself, and that vote echoes into every corner of your existence. Every time you choose your own peace over someone else's convenience, you are laying the foundation for a love based on mutual adoration, not one-sided sacrifice. This isn't about becoming cold or unloving. It's about becoming fiercely intentional about who is granted a front row seat to your life, your energy, and your spirit. It's about knowing that your love is a sacred resource to be shared with those who treat it as such, not with those who see it as a commodity. Here is the final truth I will leave you with, and I want you to let this land deep in your soul. You are not a rehabilitation center for broken men. You are not a tutor hired to teach grown adults basic human decency. You are not required to stay in any situation that dims your light simply because you feel sorry for someone else's darkness. Your job is not to be so endlessly understanding that you lose your own sense of self. Your job is to be so radically authentic that your very presence is an inspiration, to honor your own truth, and to build a life that is a perfect reflection of your own highest values. The love you seek is also seeking you. But it can only find you when you are standing fully in your own power, not when you are shrinking to be more palatable for someone else. So the next time you hear one of these 5 phrases, I want you to see it not as an insult, but as a gift, a clear, unmistakable signpost telling you, wrong way, turn back. I want you to breathe, trust what you know, and make the choice that aligns with your highest self, because you deserve a love that feels like an expansion, not a cage. You deserve a love that champions your becoming, not one that mourns it. You deserve a love that sees your beautiful, complex soul as a feature, not a bug. Walk away from anyone who makes you feel like you're hard to love. Walk toward the people and the life that feel like coming home. Your future is depending on the courage you show today. The right love will not ask you to sacrifice your soul to find it. The right love will feel like discovering a part of your own soul you never knew was missing. Trust that, choose that, and from this day forward, never settle for anything less.